Hi, my name is Steve Mays. I grew up in northern Nevada, actually, and spent my later high school years in Silver City, New Mexico. I work as an art director in the film industry, mostly in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I've worked all over the country, and I currently live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, I started as a graphic designer, which is kind of cool because I utilized a lot of software and technology in my graphic design work. I did that for a number of years, and then progressed into doing set design with 3D CAD programs and drawing, different sets, and then moved into art directing, which really involves, I like to call it, being a middle manager in film. You're kind of just relaying information between the production designer, who's really responsible for the look and feel of the film or television show, and the construction team or set deck team or any of the other um, people involved with actually dressing sets and building things. So I'm kind of like in between when I do the art direction stuff, but I personally like the more creative side, which is the graphic design side and the set design side. If you've seen Breaking Bad, I designed all of that stuff from the first season, from the Better Call Saul imagery to the Los Pollos Hermanos logos. I art directed that and worked with an illustrator who drew the characters. So if you've seen Breaking Bad, I did most of that stuff. If you've seen um, In Plain Sight or Longmire, I was involved in a lot of those set and graphic design elements. And my graphic design side of things, it's all software design things from Adobe mostly, like Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. On the set design, I'll do some 3D modeling in SketchUp and AutoCAD and Vectorworks, and it's all sort of connected now. Even in I'm sure people have seen in the Mandalorian, the latest Star Wars series, all of the background is not 3D anymore. It's all digital backgrounds. So all of that is really technologically driven. Well, like a lot of kids in high school, I was a musician and grew up playing music most of my life and thought I was going to be a rock star. So I started to go that path. I moved to LA and was trying to get a record contract. I had a little demo deal, but like probably a majority of the musicians out there, it didn't go anywhere. So I started working in a recording studio as just like a helper. But I also started to play around, and this is in the early days, with early Photoshop and start making flyers for bands. And then they asked me to start making album covers for them or to do design posters. So that was the pathway that sort of led me into design and multimedia. Um, I got pretty good at that and decided to move back to Albuquerque, and the industry started to pick up here, the film industry, and I was able to get a job as a graphic designer on an early show here in New Mexico, and it kind of just kept moving along that path. I graduated in 1987, so I was an 80s kid, and computers weren't particularly a home component like they are now. I remember the first Apple computer that I saw, and my parents actually they bought me one, and it was programming Apple Basic. It was the monochrome screen, and it was nothing like I would have ever imagined things are now. But I was immediately hooked. I loved that idea of being able to program something in another language and have it return something to you. So I would say, yeah, that was a good hook. And then I was in music, obviously, like I said, when I was in high school. So eventually, as everyone knows now, those things have really merged together: technology, music, multimedia. So I think the hook was the first Apple computer that I got. It really did. It hooked me, and I still work on an Apple computer all these years later. Think about what it is that you really enjoy, what it is that fulfills you creatively or emotionally, and if you can apply some sort of technology in that, you're going to be happier with your career. Don't just do something because you think it sounds cool or it's trendy or it's hip, because a lot of these things, like we all know, trends sort of fade away quickly. So if you like technology, explore those avenues as much as you can. Film people that are interested in film, I tell them all the time, make films. Don't be afraid, even if it's horrible, just do it. Go out there and film small short films, write a little script and film it, try and edit it yourself. I know some kids now that are just incredibly talented using Premiere, in film editing software, and they're like 15 years old. So I think the next generation of kids that have had this experience of editing on their phone and on computers are just going to be so amazingly creative. I can't wait to see what they do, because they've been exposed to it for so much longer than anybody in my generation has, and they have the accessibility to it, which is amazing, which we never had.